President Biden reiterating the aid attack could complicate ceasefire hostage negotiations. And to add more context to this ongoing situation, we're joined now by former National Security Advisor to President Trump, Ambassador John Bolton. Ambassador, welcome to the show.
Glad to be with you.
So we heard President Biden saying that the ceasefire in Gaza probably not going to happen by Monday. He was a bit optimistic earlier in the week. Is that a sign that Thursday's incident is already complicating hostage negotiations?
Well, I think the incident still needs to be thoroughly investigated, but I think Biden was trying to be optimistic because of the upcoming Michigan primary, where 100,000 Democrats voted uncommitted against him, and worrying about Super Tuesday in the coming days. The Biden White House has put enormous pressure on Bibi Netanyahu and the Israeli government to agree to this ceasefire, and they may yet succeed. But I don't think it's likely. Yesterday, the Israelis said there's not going to be any deal unless Hamas gives them a list of names of the hostages who are still alive, which Hamas has refused to do from the get-go. We'll see how that plays out. I think neither Hamas nor Israel want to be held responsible for the negotiations breaking down. And I'll say again, do not discount the unbelievable pressure being put on the Israeli government. But my guess is at this point, they're still pretty far apart.
We're actually looking at that incident where Gazans were trying to get food. We know this has created a lot of chaos in the Middle East. We were talking about that Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in places like Yemen attacking vessels in the Red Sea. Sir, I do want to read a tweet from you on Thursday. You said the United States and our partners should stay in Iraq, Syria, and Jordan. Even a small American presence creates a significant peace and stability. If America withdrew, it would just give Iran and its surrogates free hand. That would be very negative across the region. You added, it seems like they're frustrated with our presence, but is this further escalating the conflict when we hear stories of what happened on Thursday with the aid?
Well, I think that highlights instead what the potential problem is with airdropping food into an area like Gaza. You know, we airdrop supplies all the time when we have drop zone controllers on the ground to control the crowds that are going to be surging toward these heavy pallets falling out of the sky. People can get killed trying to get to the pallets. Who's going to supervise the distribution of the aid? Are they just going to be first come, first served? Is Hamas going to get control of it? And if we do have drop zone controllers on the ground, which is standard Air Force procedure, who's going to protect them against Hamas and against the potential beneficiaries? It's a very dangerous situation there, and I think I'm worried for the Americans who are involved in it.
Ambassador, I've been looking forward to talking to you because you have such a unique perspective. You served under the Trump administration. If you were in that position now, what would you be advising our president to do?
To put more pressure on Iran, which is the central cause of the Hamas attack against Israel on October the 7th, the Houthi rebels' effort to close the Red Sea and the Suez Canal to international global commerce. 30%, by the way, of the world's trade goes through the Red Sea, but it's now effectively closed. Iran responsible for the Hezbollah terrorist group that's shelling northern Israel, and for the Shia militia in Iraq and Syria that have attacked American military and civilian personnel. These are not discrete conflicts. This isn't all happening coincidentally. This is Iran implementing at least a part of what they themselves call the Ring of Fire strategy against Israel. And the way the Biden administration approaches it is as much Israel's fault as it is Hamas's and Iran, and that is fundamentally wrong.
Well, we have heard Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu vowing a total victory against Hamas. What does that look like, sir?
Well, I think Netanyahu has said so far he believes Israel has destroyed 8 of Hamas's 12 combat battalions. Doesn't mean they've killed everybody in those battalions, but it sounds like they've got 4 more to go, and they have not yet taken full control of this unbelievably extensive network of tunnels that Hamas has built under the Gaza Strip. So, look, Israel's acting in legitimate aid of its self-defense, and when you're attacked like they were on October the 7th, you're entitled not just to respond proportionately to the attack, you're entitled to eliminate the source of the danger.
Sure.
And I think that's for them to do, and we should support that.
But Ambassador, how do you do that while protecting all those civilians?
Well, let's ask who's responsible for the civilians being in danger. And the answer to that is Hamas, one of the most not only brutal and barbaric terrorist organizations in the world today, but one of the most cynical, putting its own fellow Palestinians in danger to protect its leaders and to protect its fighters. That's where the responsibility lies here. And I think Israel has fallen behind in the propaganda war against Hamas, certainly in some segments of America. But their right to self-defense is not limited by Hamas's brutality.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.